Well, hello and welcome. This is a 30-minute seated chair yoga class, and I thought today I would focus on three-dimensional breathing and getting the diaphragm to really work properly. We've kind of been taught to do belly breathing or quote unquote diaphragmatic breathing as if there's any other kind of breathing. So, what we really want to think about is when we bring the breath just down into the abdomen, we aren't really getting expansion in all directions. We need lateral expansion into the side ribs and back body expansion just as much. And when we just bring the breath down into the low belly and abdomen and kind of balloon outward, it causes lots of downward pressure into the pelvic floor. And that in turn creates lots of pressure into the shoulders. And so it's not a super helpful breath. I mean, it does get the breath to get a little bit longer, and that can be helpful. But I have my little jointed ball here, and I love it for visualizing the expansion in all directions. And so one of the other visuals that I like is that the ribs laterally are like bucket handles, and they sort of, go up almost like an umbrella. So they sort of go out and in, out and in. And then the sternum is more like the handle on a pump. So the sternum kind of goes like this. So we have this umbrella action at the base of the ribs. And that happens not just down into the belly, but sideways and into the back body. So as you sit back in your chair, for a few breaths, we'll really focus on inhaling and feeling those back ribs expand back toward the chair. And as you exhale, feel those back ribs kind of draw back to center. In your mind's eye, you might visualize the rib attachments on either side of the spine. And feel those rib attachments get a little bit more spacious with your inhale. And the muscles that are between the ribs, the intercostals, have a little bit more tone to them as you exhale. And notice if pulling the breath into the back body kind of gets you to lift your shoulders up or do any shrugging. See if you can keep that soft. And it might be subtle. You might even lean back into the chair a little bit. But one of our beautiful deep core muscles, that's also a hip flexor muscle, the psoas, shares attachments and insertions with the diaphragm at the spine, right where you're leaning into it on your chair. And the psoas can get really grumpy because it shouldn't be working so hard to uphold the body. Because the diaphragm is also there for spinal stability, but it can only support the spine when it's moving in 3 dimensions. So taking some of the slack off of the psoas by deepening the breath. And then for a few breaths, breathe into the side body. You might even cross the hands over the body, fingers spread wide on the ribs. And sometimes it's okay to exaggerate your inhales so that you really feel it in these areas. Visualizing, if that image works for you, of the bucket handle on either side. Couple more rounds of breath here. And then we'll come forward in the chair and bring your feet about hip distance, your knees about hip distance, about 2 fists width. And find that sense of rooting down through the 4 corners of the feet. And this will help get the side body really long, stacking the ribs over the bowl of the pelvis. And then for a few rounds of breath, feel the breath in 3 dimensions. So front body, back body, side body. Visualize that jointed ball of that sphere. Notice if the neck gets engaged or you create downward pressure into the bowl of the pelvis. And then we'll do a little bit of movement to encourage this. So one of the ways I love getting movement into the back body and that expansion for the ribs is to do a little lateral twist. So right hand's gonna stay grounded on the right thigh, and then sweep the left hand up, squeeze the shoulder blade, almost like you have a tennis racket back there. Look past your thumb. Take a few of those 3-dimensional breaths. And if it feels like you're coming into a back bend, kind of remember that pump handle of the sternum. Draw that pump handle down. And then come back through center. Take 3 breaths into the back body and just see if you notice anything. Sometimes getting the muscles beneath the shoulder blade to work can help mobilize things back there. And then we'll switch sides. So left hand stays grounded, feet stay grounded, palm faces away. Big inhale, sweeping up and back, shoulder blade squeeze in, look past your thumb. Big 3-dimensional breaths. Front body, back body, side body. And then we're going to cross that right hand over. And so it's going to be a little bit more intense. So right hand crosses over, left hand sweeps up and cactus the arm. So kind of goalpost arm, 90 degrees-ish. Big inhale. And exhale, cross over. Find that resistance. Inhale, sweeping out and back. And then exhale, goalpost the arm. Wrist over elbow. 3-dimensional breaths. And then we'll take it one more step further. So right hand crosses over, breathing in, and then really exhale, breathe out. Then inhale, sweeping up. Exhale, cactus the arm. And then keeping that nice cactus arm, we're gonna kind of teapot over to the right. Side body, press down through the feet, lift up and away out of the waist. And then come on up and cross over. Exhale. Inhale, sweep up. Exhale, cactus. Inhale, up and over. Couple breaths. Really get the breath to puff outward into those side ribs. Nice. And then come back up, breathing in. And then we'll come into a forward fold. Brace the forearms on the thighs and see if you can get the breath to really puff into the back body. So brace down into the forearms, pulling the heads of the arm bones down away from the ears. And the crown of the head reaches forward, sitting bones back. And then really tune into the shoulder blades. I'm going to get the breath to puff into those rib attachments at the spine between the shoulder blades. And then we'll do one for the side body from here. So if your low back is starting to talk to you and this extended forward fold isn't working for you, you can come on up and do this in more of a seated side stretch. But if this works, you're going to transition the weight onto just the right forearm and sweep the left arm forward and away. So palm faces to the right, thumb up, pinky down, and reach back through the left sitting bones. And then come back in, replace, root down, heart reaches forward, bum reaches back, and then transition the weight onto just the left, reach the front arm forward and a little bit away over to the left. Press back through the right sitting bones, right hip. And then big inhale. Exhale, bring that forearm back in. And then press down into the hands to come on up. Take a few breaths and just notice. Is there more space? Is there more awareness? And then we'll come into a few simple twists and just continue this three-dimensional breath awareness. So breathing in, hands to heart, we're going to start with a nice engaged twist. So lift the heart toward the thumbs and pull the thumbs back in toward the sternum. Roll the heads of the arm bones back. Feel those muscles at the back ribs engage as you pull the elbows back. And then turn to the right. Squeeze the right shoulder blade back. Press the left shoulder blade forward, but keep the heads of the arm bones pretty level. Few three-dimensional breaths. And then let the hands come down. Right hand might find the chair. Left hand could come across the outside of the right arm or the leg. One more breath in and out. And then breathing in, hands to heart. Again, root down through the feet, lift the crown up, draw the heads of the arm bones back. Find that sense of containment, but the breath really expands inside that container. And then when you're ready, twist to the left. A few breaths here. Kind of reset the spine if you need to, reset the core. Not working so hard that you can't find that nice open breath pattern. And then one more inhale. And then exhale, let the hands come down and reset the spine if you need to, reset the core. One more round of breath. And then sweeping all the way out to the sides and then up toward the sky. Hands are going to come to the fronts of the knees. Elbows hug in. Lift the heart, draw the heart forward and up for your cow pose. Exhale, round, tuck the tail. Elbows go wide, spreading through the shoulder blades. So breathing in, peel the heart forward. Squeeze the shoulder blades together to do that. And exhale, elbows draw wide, shoulder blades spread apart, and heart moves backwards. Moving with your breath. And then come back to stillness. Turn the palms to face the sky. Close the eyes if that feels okay for you. Or just soften the gaze and notice sensation throughout the body, through the feet, through the hands, through the ribs. Is there a shift in the quality of your breath? Let's take one more round of breath there. We'll do a little twist flow. And so instead of reaching out and up, we're going to start by reaching wide, breathing in, and then turn to the twist, breathing out. Breathing in, go wide, squeeze the shoulder blades together, maybe a bit of a cow pose shape for the spine, and exhale, twist. Breathing in wide, elbows might hug in, and breathing out, twist. 2 more times. Last time to the right. And last time to the left. Coming back through center, breathing in. And then breathing out, forward fold. We'll do something a little bit different in our forward fold. So widen your stance just a little bit. And we're going to allow the arm bones to kind of shift upward as we kind of soften the hollow at the base of the throat. So we're going to let the shoulders kind of shrug up and drop the upper body through. So collarbones stay broad, but we're kind of letting the whole body drop down. Sometimes you can get a really nice release for some of those spaces around the shoulder blades. And then we'll press down into the elbows, lift the chest back up, reach the heart forward, and look ahead. Full breath in, press down, and exhale, slowly lower the chest between those goalposts of the upper arms. Let the head drop down if that feels okay. And then press back up, look ahead. One more time, slowly with control, dropping it down. Kind of collarbones drop down between the goalposts of the upper arms. Let the head go. And then come on up. Root down through the feet. Bring the palms to the thighs and come on up. Take 3 breaths to just notice. Let all of that sink in. That can be pretty intense. And then tuck the chin in, draw the head and neck back in space a little bit, and then look down. See if you can stretch that same place. Kind of drawing the chin down the sternum, but the heads of the arm bones roll back this time. Big puffy breaths into that stretch. And then breathing in, gaze forward, Draw the head and neck back in space, breathing out. Let the head drop over to the right. And then play with movement of the left hand and left arm. So you might open and close. You might press the palm down and away. You might even press the arm out to the side or back in space. See if you can find just the right shape. Sometimes hand to hip and elbow drawing back. And sometimes the neck stretches, the breath gets short or shallow again. So re-expand if it's in. And then we'll swivel the chin down over the right armpit. Keep opening up through the left shoulder, left arm. And then ear to shoulder, chin to chest. Bring the head back up. Let the other arm rest. And take 3 breaths to let that integrate. And then draw the head and neck back in space. Left ear tips over. And then play with movement of the right arm, right hand. Maybe roll the shoulder back. Extend, find that juicy spot. Usually there's one place. And if it feels like you're coming into a back bend to do that, just draw that pump handle of the sternum down. Movement or stillness, whatever feels best. And then swivel. So you're looking down over the armpit. Find a little bit of movement or stillness. And then as you're ready, go back ear to shoulder, gazing forward, chin to chest, gazing down. Let both hands rest on the thighs and come on up. Big shoulder shrug up. And as you exhale, press the heels of the palms down, lengthen up through the crown of the head. Let's do that 2 or 3 more times. And maybe look down with your exhale. Maybe look up with your inhale. Let's do that once more. And then we'll send the arms wide, spread the fingers really wide. Press the heels of the palms forward, draw your fingers back. And then nice strong fists. Press the knuckles down toward the ground. And then give yourself a couple wrist rolls. And then we'll press the hands down and angle away. And then instead of wrist rolls or fists, we're going to wrap little finger, then the ring finger, then the rest of the fingers in and curl it into a big biceps curl. And then we're going to go forward, fingers spread wide, knuckles, knuckles down, wrist circles. And then we'll go down, fingers spread wide, and then curl, little finger, the rest of the fingers, little biceps curl. One more time, go forward. Fists, knuckles down, circles. And then press down, wrap, squeeze it in and shake it out. Nicely done. Let's call it a day. Come on back into the chair. And notice sensation as it dissipates from those wrist stretches, from the shoulder shrugs, from all that work we've done for the shoulder blades and breath. And return to that awareness of your breath in 3 dimensions. Front body, back body, side body, like a sphere. You might even visualize a very small place at the center of your body, at the spine, somewhere between the shoulder blades and the sternum. As you inhale, imagine that very small place growing into a sphere, filling your ribs, front, back, sides. Maybe even visualizing that sphere expanding outside the body. And then as you exhale, visualize that sphere contracting in 3 dimensions, coming in equally front, back, and sides, right to that small place at the spine. For a few rounds of breath, let your breath return to its natural way of being. You might bring one hand to heart, one hand to belly. And if you like, set an intention around this idea of just finding that 3-dimensional breath a little bit more often. Just noticing the breath is so dynamic. Noticing that it's not just rising and falling of the chest, but expanding in all directions and coming back to center. Even your energy field expands with your inhale. And with the next breath in, float the eyes open, sweep the hands out and up. And exhale, draw hands to the center of gratitude at the heart. And the light in me sees and honors the light in you. Have a beautiful rest of your day, yogis. And we'll see you soon. Keep doing that 3-dimensional breathing. It is so beneficial for everything.